the more that you take the time to really sit with the truth of where you're being called, the more that you create a life, a business, work, clients, family dynamics that you don't need a break from, because you're able to be with what is, and you're able to be sovereign and in your agency when it comes to steering your life and your business in the way that you want and getting into the driver's seat on creating what it is that you want. Welcome to the Worth It podcast. I'm Megan Taylor, coach for the brilliant minds and the rare ones who are always growing. I have helped ambitious women and men, business owners and leaders from around the world with defining and expanding their unique work, having the relationship that they actually want, and creating the life that makes all of the work feel worth it. Every week on the podcast, we discuss the key pivots that I coach my clients on and the real work required in order to be a leader and the woman or the man that you're here to be. With that, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. So today I'm going to be telling you and pulling back the curtain more on my personal journey these past 18 months. I do not even recognize where I am today, although I must, because I created it, right? So at some level, I do recognize it. However, 18 months ago, sitting on this couch, I was in a place where I was feeling super depleted, to be honest, by life. And I had a successful business, but on the inside, I was feeling depleted. I was waking up feeling already tired. And when I first set out to create this business 6 years ago, I had this vision, like many of my clients do, of creating a bigger impact in the world, of living a life of freedom where nobody can tell me what to do. I get to travel whenever I want to. I get to go run appointments in the middle of the day and take care of my health. I get to have the spaciousness and the freedom to be a mother and to be able to have the time to be able to do that while also pursuing my interests and my desire for serving people and for developing the unique way that I do that. And so I reached this point. It was about January of 2022 where I was just at an absolute limit. I had made the moves to move to Idaho. So I had been living in Seattle. I knew that I wanted to move to a new place where my nervous system could downregulate and downshift a little bit. And I didn't know where I wanted to move. So I drove all over the United States. I drove 10,000 miles by myself in my Nissan Rogue, from Washington through Idaho, Montana, heading east as far as North Carolina. I chose North Carolina intuitively because I was searching for a place that had beautiful nature and trees. I had a vision of a place with trees, water, and I was looking for some more family ideals, like places to live that had more family ideals. And Luke Combs happens to be from North Carolina, and I was casually obsessed with him at the time and looking for a masculine man in my life. And I was like, hey, maybe there's some more Luke Combs guys over there in North Carolina. Anyway, I didn't find any, and North Carolina didn't end up being a fit. But, I went through Tennessee, considered moving to Chattanooga, cut through Oklahoma and saw my cousins, went to Colorado, considered moving to Denver or Boulder, and then ultimately ended up choosing Boise, Idaho. And I was born in Idaho, so it was cool coming back to that. And it really just feels like a homecoming being back here. Now, I moved here in November when it was snowing by myself. I knew one person, which is my former boss from Microsoft. Her name is Dawn. She lives here, and she was amazing because she let me stay at her house, and I got all set up in my new beautiful home where I live now. However, it was rough. I was coming off the back of having left a relationship that really, I was in it for a reason, but I really gave up a lot, and it really drained my energy. And so I had a lot of recouping to do. I was sick many times that winter, and, just didn't have my new community built up yet because I moved here with just the things in my car and only knew one person. So come January of last year, I hit this point where I was like, wow, okay, I finally made it to Boise. I love the vibe here. This feels like home. But as I'm looking around at the surroundings, there are other pieces of my life that are just not aligned. This is not feeling fully correct. Why am I getting sick so much? The body is such an indicator of well being. And I was not well. And I was sick, actually horizontal on this couch, and I started actually binge watching videos of Jordan Peterson talking about the Bible, but it led me to finding this particular mentor that I've worked with for the past year, who was somebody who could help me really see myself. I needed to stop trying to do business strategy to try to grow the business. I needed to not even focus on the money anymore. I had money coming in. I had my beloved clients that I was serving, but I knew that I needed to reorient my own alignment for myself to get my energy back, to get my passion back for my work. I knew I was meant for more. I knew I was meant for stages. I knew I was meant to do more than just business strategy and business consulting, but I was meant to coach the entire person. And so I knew that before I could coach the entire person, I needed to coach my entire person. But for today, the main thing I want to leave you with is just full permission that it is okay to evolve. Because I know for myself, 18 months ago, I was sitting in a place where I was like, man, this is just not it. There's something else for me. And at the same time, I wasn't giving myself permission to evolve because I felt like success needed to look a particular way. And I was worried about not making sense or leaving people behind. And none of that was true. And once I got over that, that's when I started calling in a next level of client. That's when I started doing work that makes me feel alive. That's when I started getting clients paying in full. That's when I started getting clients committing for 12 months at a time and staying for 2 to 3 years. But it started with me getting sold on myself and my next evolution and being really honest about who I am and what I'm here to do. And then that's when the clients started coming. That's when I started doing the work I really loved. And also, in the same vein, that's when I started having relationships come in that were a match for me because I was being a stand for my own honesty and my own power, instead of trying to be somebody that I'm not, you know? And so I just want to give you that permission to evolve, because the ambitious ones, the ever growing ones, we are endlessly devoted to our alignment, and we need to learn how to be sensitive and listening even deeper to where we're being called. And that's where the ease is. And then the money flows as a byproduct of that. So this is how we do it. It's not complicated. It's simple, but it's not easy because it requires a lot of honesty and courage to make the necessary changes instead of looking outside of ourselves to, you know, do another yoga class or another cold shower or buy another business strategy. You don't need all of that stuff when you can learn how to be at peace with yourself and listen to the truth of where you're being called. And sometimes it's easier said than done. So sometimes it's helpful to do that with someone. And I'm happy to be that person in your corner. If you would like to have a conversation about it, we can see if it's a good fit. So I will leave you with that. And thank you so much for coming to the first episode of the Worth It podcast. Love you so much. See you next time. Hi, lovely. Really quick before you go, it would mean the absolute world to me if you found value in today's episode, if you would take a minute to leave a 5-star review for the podcast. This is going to help other powerhouses like you to be able to find it. Also, I love interacting with my listeners, so I would love to know more about what you thought about today's episode. If you take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories and tag at Megan W. Taylor, it's going to notify me, and I actually love to reshare your posts with my audience as well. With that, thank you so much for being a listener, and I'm wishing you a beautiful, productive, happy, sexy, lucrative week, and I will see you on the next episode.